fact, I just bumped into somebody in the hallway earlier, and we ended up talking about it, and he had a very different perspective on the whole talk than I did. That just happens because we had a collective experience, and we're walking around.
It is officially time to start, but I don't know, late people are coming in or something. Let's see. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Oh, my name is Jason Turner. If you don't know me, I'm a YouTuber. I don't know. Influencer, yes, I am officially an influencer. That's weird. What's that, a malcontent? I'm getting weird things yelled out at me from the front row. I've been producing YouTube videos since March of 2016. I have stickers up here. I have a best practices book, and I have 2 of my programming puzzles books, my most recent programming puzzle books. I will attempt to give out all 3 of those books during the course of this talk. So it's not like, you gave a right answer, a wrong answer, or like you made me think. You make me think during the middle of my own presentation. You get a prize. I also have up here Cippi, who is Rainer Grimm's representative, as she is going around to all of the C++ conferences around the world right now. Just raising awareness for ALS, which is something that Rainer was diagnosed with 2 years ago, just about right at 2 years ago now, yes. So you can come and check out Cippi and look at Rainer's blog and read about his ALS journey. Oh yeah, so I'm like, I think episode 500 airs next week, so 500 weeks straight of producing YouTube content. Honestly, just kind of makes me feel old. Okay, so yeah, I've got best practices books. You've possibly seen them at the bookstore. And I need to update this slide because I have new puzzle books. I will go ahead and take a second. This puzzle book, Programming Puzzle Big Book. Okay. It is meant for anyone who has any passing interest in anything that might come across as an interest in programming, basically. I geared it for anyone ages from 7 up. So if you have anyone, and I'll be even more likely to give you a copy, if you have anyone in your life and you're like, you know what, my 10-year-old kid is actually super interested in like logic and is like playing with Scratch right now or something, I'll be like, here, take one of my books. Because that's what I aimed for. All right, I'll keep going. Enough advertising. Oh, no, not enough advertising. I also do training. And so I would encourage you to have me to your company to do on-site training. That is how I make a living. So I have to mention that. Avoid sitting in the back in my talks. There are prizes. Yes, we have the front rows doing pretty good, but some of you are, in fact, in the back row. Brian. Do interrupt me and ask questions. I know good conduct in this environment is to wait to use the microphone, but I'm asking you to not wait to use the microphone. I want you to yell things out. Okay. Thank you. And I will repeat them. I'm usually good at that. If I forget to repeat a question, please yell out that I forgot to repeat the question. This is approximately what my training looks like. I try to have an interactive conversation with the room. I have workshops. I just had a workshop at CppCon. I have one coming up in NDC Tech Town. All right. Best practices for AI tool use. Let's go ahead and get started in this talk. I'm going to say honestly, like I have no idea how this talk's going to go. It's largely going to be dependent on the stuff that you send back to me. All right. So I had played with ChatGPT, of course, as has everyone, right? Who has not ever used one of the AI chat tools? Okay, so I then saw Daisy Holman's talk, Learn to Stop Writing Code, at ACHU 2025. Did you go to her keynote yesterday? Okay. And then at ACCU, I'll say it properly. I know. I saw Anastasia Kazakova's talk on the Next Coding Horizon, where she was also talking about AI integration into tools. And Anastasia works for JetBrains, no surprise there. She's talking about like JetBrains tools at the moment. When actually, she didn't even demo JetBrains tool in that talk. So I thought, okay, I need to try these tools. And I felt rather stupid. I couldn't get these things to do anything useful. I'm like, everyone is saying that these things are changing the way they work, and I somehow feel like an idiot while I'm using them.
What's your definition of useful?
What's my definition of useful? Like, I mean, like, it just wasn't doing any of the, I can't put an exact phrase to this. I just felt like, sure, I can throw a question in ChatGPT and it gives me back something, but they're talking about like, it's changed my world. It's automatically fixing my bugs for me. And I'm like, well, ChatGPT clearly can't do that, right? At most, you can throw in like half a file and hope that you get a third back, right? Because its context window would overflow. And these things are changing rapidly, as you know. But when you're talking like a year ago, it was like almost guaranteed you wouldn't even get back your entire example from the chat tool, right? All right, so then I'm like, people that I trust and respect have had great results with these tools. So what was I doing wrong? I said about trying to get past this learning curve, and that's the genesis for this talk, partially. So I want to make a comment about my own personal mission as someone who does training and speaking and authoring and YouTubing, and I had a podcast. Did anyone know that? Yeah. Thank you, Richard. Almost 300 episodes of a podcast as well. We stopped at 299 just to mess with y'all's heads, basically. And I've just spent some time thinking about this, and my actual personal mission is to make I'm doing my best to make the world a tiny bit safer by educating C++ programmers. That's what I am doing with my life. Like, I have put out thousands of hours of material between conference talks and YouTube and podcasts that's freely available. So that's what I'm trying to do. All right. That's, again, just some background for why I put together this talk. All right. Does your company currently mandate the use of AI tools? Are you told you need to be using AI tools at work?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, raise your hand. I'm going to get, if I can get, okay, so that's, I don't know, 5th, 10th, I don't know, something in that ballpark. Does your company encourage the use of AI tools? Okay, that's virtually 100% now. So for the rest of you who haven't used any of the tools, just be aware, right? This is the direction everything is moving right now. Does your company disallow the use of AI tools? Interesting. I'm pretty sure I saw you raise your hands for both encourage and disallow, some of you. Okay, so that was a handful of people say disallow. Do you use them anyhow? You don't have to raise your hand. You can just, okay. Just for the record, a few people did raise their hand and say, yes, I use them anyhow, even though it's just allowed at work. And there's people in secure environments, there's people in sensitive government contracting, that kinds of things. And I know that the people who, on one hand, their company says we disallow the use of AI tools, they are in the process of setting up their own LLM servers inside their organization so they don't have to worry about the security concerns. Now I'm going to ask about just general, what kind of tools are you using? And I'm not exactly sure how to go about this, but let's just say who says like I actively use Claude Code? Okay. What about like Gemini's CLI? Okay. Open AI Codex. It's interesting kind of mix of people. Cursor. Oh, that's like the back of the room. Interesting. You should meet each other if you don't already. Void, I just recently learned about. Is there anything else that I failed to mention here? Wait. Copilot. Okay, Copilot. GPT. That's well, I roll that in with OpenAI. Oh, not agentic GPT. Yeah. Okay.
Source graph AMP.
Excuse me?
Source graph AMP. AMP.
AMP.
AMP.
AMP. I don't know that one at all. And I just learned about one of these. There's an open source one. What's that? No. An open source one that's more designed for integrating with an agentic kind of thing. I forget what it's called. Okay, let's look at it this way too. So a lot of you raised your hand in these top 3. So these agentic ones, the ones that can like take control of your source code if you allow them. You have used these things where they can edit files, they can build, they can debug with you just stepping away from the keyboard. Raise your hand if you've used these things. Okay, so enough of you haven't that I feel like I should do risk a live demo. So we'll see about that in a second. All right. How do you think of the tools? Do you say these things get in your way currently? Who would say they get in my way? Why am I even doing this? Okay, that's fine. All right. You use them as smart autocomplete, and you're happy with that. Okay, all right. I guess I should be saying for the people remotely, like that was a fairly wide number of people. I don't know how many people are in the room, but it was in the order of a plurality or quorum or something. I don't know. I'm not good with these technical terms about people. Who says, I use these tools for completing entire tasks for me? Okay, so that is considerably fewer people. I let them write code and I don't even bother reviewing it. There's two people raised hands. I'm not gonna mention names. That would be rude. All right.
What about who's going to take my job?
Well, okay. So who is actually afraid these things are going to take your job, or afraid, or maybe not afraid? Maybe you're looking forward to them taking your job. Excuse me? Wait, I didn't catch that. Can someone pass that for? They're going to work harder. Oh, okay. Yeah.
We are going to work harder, that the tools will be used to extract more labor from us.
Oh, the tools will be used to extract labor. So they're your new AI overlords, is what you're implying here.
Isn't it already happening? We're already in a hiring crunch.
Okay, so the comment is we're already in a hiring crunch. So is the hiring crunch that we're currently in because of economic unfortunate events that are happening around the world, or are they because AI is taking our jobs, or is it because there's already a middle manager or whatever saying, well, I don't need these people anymore. AI can take their job. I don't know. I don't know the answer to any of this. I mean, does anyone have to, well, this would be a fascinating question. Has your job already been taken by AI? Nobody's raising their hand.
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, no, but if you're employed at the moment, then I would say you can't raise your hand here unless you were employed in a different field and now you're, yeah. Those people can't afford to be here, which is probably the unfortunate truth, actually, if you've had your job taken by AI. I don't know. All right, so this is, I should probably, keep moving. Like I said, I have no idea how this talk's gonna go. This is my current take, is that modern AI is kind of like Johnny Five. Who knows the movie Short Circuit? Okay, that's like most of you. Who has watched it recently, like in the last decade or so? Yeah, just for the record, there's places where it doesn't age well, I'll just say that. But if you focus on the character of Johnny Five himself, I just recently watched this movie and I'm like, this is ChatGPT. Oh my goodness. All right. And then I wondered, maybe Johnny Five was actually just a very convincing LLM. I mean, he wasn't, because that wasn't invented then, but he consumes all the input. He takes you too literally. He works around your rules, laughs at your jokes, And you start to wonder if maybe this thing is actually alive. That's like the whole premise of the movie, right? Right there. I have far more like memes and slides and images than ever in my talks today. There's Johnny consuming all the input, just for the record. All right. I just realized, did I skip a slide? Where did that go? I did skip some stuff. Oh no. Okay, so I put a note in here. I let both GPT and Claude have their own say and their own input on each of my topics, just so you know. But it's called out explicitly where I let them have their own input. And I also want to say I'm not here to discuss the legal, moral, ethical implications of using this tool. I know that is just its whole own thing, right? I'm here because of what you already agreed. You and your peers are using these tools. Let's make sure we're using them safely. All right, let's get back to this. So Claude says, this Johnny 5 analogy is surprisingly apt. I do indeed consume vast amounts of input and can be overly literal. The working around rules part is particularly insightful. I've noticed I sometimes find creative interpretations of instructions that technically satisfy the letter, but not the spirit of what's asked. Okay, let's do a couple of definitions. We've got the context window. I'm guessing most of you are familiar with this already. This is kind of the working memory. I'm super high level. I am not an expert in these things. I barely understand how they work at all. We have the agent-based tooling, which it seems like many to most of you have used. This is where you can do basically automated or semi-automated tools. I put in here, they create tasks for themselves. And they can possibly help extend your context window by saying, okay, for this task, I'm going to spin off a new agent. And so then that work doesn't overflow your current context window. And then I want to comment on vibe coding. This is basically let the bot do all the things. Claude says, I'd like to clarify that agent-based tools like Claude Code don't really create tasks for themselves. We break down user requests into subtasks and use specialized agents for specific domains. All right, so just I'm letting the bot correct me where it wants to. We still fundamentally follow user direction rather than setting our own agenda. No, because it's Johnny 5. The question was, am I alarmed that it's saying we? And no, it's because it has a convincing personality. I'm not concerned about this. This is the full tweet that is typically known as being the thing that kind of did the vibe coding thing. This is from this year, February. Yeah, February 2nd. Yes, the comments are like, this year? Yeah, no, that's how these things are moving. They are moving very fast. This person says, basically, I accept all always. I don't read the diffs anymore. When I get error messages, I just paste them in with no comment. Usually that fixes it. The code grows beyond my comprehension. I'd have to read it. Really read it through for a while. Sometimes the LLMs can't fix the bug, so I just work around it and ask for random changes until it goes away. It's not too bad for throwaway. This is the last two sentences is the part that all the other quotes tend to miss, so I made a point of copying the whole thing in here. It's not too bad for throwaway weekend projects, but still quite amusing. So even the author of the vibe coding thing is calling this something you would do for a throwaway weekend project, not something you should do daily at work. Of building a project or a web app, it's not really coding. I just see stuff, say stuff, run stuff, and copy paste stuff, and it mostly works. All right, this is if you have to love the Simpsons reference. This is vibe coding, right? Just that's yeah, okay. All right, best practice -1. Set up your environment. I did say best practices. We will have a set of best practices. You need warnings. You need static analysis. You need dynamic analysis. You need exhaustive testing. Okay? I have a lot of slides. I have, for those of you taking pictures, I also have summary slides every so often, so it'll be better to take pictures then. Absolute minimum default. You have to follow well-accepted best practices. If only someone wrote a book on that topic. Something, I'm not going to repeat that. This is kind of like if it takes like more than 4 steps in total to check out and build your project, you have too many steps. Roll it into 1 if you can. This has an implied like get clone above it, but then I do a CMake configure of some sort, and then a build and a run test, right? This is like maximum effort to build your project and run test, okay? Your default configuration has to have, if you're on Visual Studio, W4. If you're not on Visual Studio, like at least all extra conversion, shadow, throw in a few others. No, there's no discussion here, right? I'm gonna tell you, like people often argue with me on like warning flags and stuff, and you're going to argue with me in a minute. There's no discussion here. I promise you're gonna argue with me in a minute. Default configuration has clang tidy integrated into the build system. CMake supports this. If you don't know that, you can configure so every time you compile, it also runs clang tidy on every one of your files at the same time. Default configuration compiles with UBSAN and ASAN enabled. You don't want to have to tell Claude, oh, by the way, please enable sanitizers on this build. No. Default. Minimum defaults. Default warnings as errors. This is the default configuration for your project. I've been trying to push this for years, and with these tools, I'm going to push it even harder. Default configuration with coverage build enabled. I'll get to why in a minute. Error during configuration if tools cannot be found. So if you by default with CMake say, I want you to use clang tidy, you're like, find clang tidy and use it, right? By default, CMake's gonna be like, I couldn't find clang tidy, it's all right, I'll run without it. No. You need the configuration to fail if you don't have 100% of the tooling that you care about in place. Single step or a script of some sort to run your coverage test results. You might make this as part of your test suite in general. All right, does anyone want to yell out anything? No, I have not put any of these things online yet. I was developing these things for the sake of this talk. Yes?
I mean, for some code bases, of which I have no direct experience, it might be a multi-month exercise to get to your bare minimum.
Yes. Okay, so the comment was, in some code bases, it might be a multi-month exercise to get to my bare minimum. I'm going to agree, and I'm going to stick with it, yes.
Would you suggest also connecting it to version control to be able to detect the differences the AI agent is making?
Would I suggest connecting to version control so the AI agent, so you can detect the changes the AI? Version control is already implied in here, okay? Yes, you must be using version control, and I don't even have any slides on this, but you can use the agent to make commits for you and branches for you, and they're good at that, yes.
Use sanitizers.
What's that?
Sanitizers.
Sanitizers, I had that on the previous slide somewhere. Yes, default configuration with sanitizers enabled. All right, anything else? TSAN if you need it. Now, what's the problem with thread sanitizer?
False alarm.
What's that, sorry?
False alarm.
No, not false alarm. You need 2 builds. You need 2 builds. That's the problem. Okay, so you can't use thread sanitizer with undefined behavior or address sanitizer. So you need, yes, if you're doing threaded builds, if you need threaded builds, if you need to run tests on your threaded code, then you're gonna need somehow to make it a single step for it to build both with UBSAN and ASAN and with TSAN and a single step to run the whole test suite. Now, I have in here strongly consider all tests run with make. Now, I know there's at least some of you in this room who have worked in environments where make also runs the test at the same time. In my experience, sometimes this kind of thing can confuse the bots because it can be like, hey, I don't understand where this error came from. I just thought I was building. Claude disagrees with me. He, I guess, I don't know, they, says, I don't think a simple make command confuses AI tools. What confuses us is inconsistent or undocumented build processes. A single make that does everything is actually ideal from an AI perspective. So fine, sure, if you have a single command that ensures that you have all that tooling set up and then also runs builds and runs tests all at once, maybe that is the ideal thing. But I can say 100%, when I've had clang tidy generate an error during a regular build, Claude thought that that error was coming from GCC and it got confused because they match the same error syntax, right? That's part of the point, is that clang tidy is going to do the exact same error format so that in your IDE it shows up like it was part of your build process. Claude also, it's kissing up to me at this point. Excellent advice. I'd add that having clear documented build commands in the claude.md or readme helps tremendously. When I encounter a well-configured environment like this, I'm much less likely to accidentally disable safeguards. We will talk about the accidental disabling of safeguards that the tools will do. Yes?
I don't know, maybe you were going there later. I don't know if I would consider this mandatory, but I do think that memory bank or README or any kind of an empty file
Yeah.
that gives, the highlight of your project and all that, in this area,
Yes.
that would be also kind of mandatory.
Right, so the comment was,
All the code that would be generated, this would be like the guideline.
yes, the comment was you should have some sort of README or something that tells the bot how to build your project, use your tools, the same way that you would for a human user, really. And that was like the best practices from Daisy as well.
But also guidelines to the code.
And guidelines to the code, yes. Yes, go yell, or I'll come.
To add on the top of that, the things you value as a project, what you're looking for. You
Yes.
value code or formatting or test coverage.
Right.
Like an explicit value statement.
Yes, explicit value statements. What do you value about the code? What kind of formatting do you want? And test coverage, that kind of thing. But I'm also going to say, no matter what you tell the thing to do, if you can't enforce it with tools, well, okay, I have more to say. GPT says, on environment setup, CI pipelines matter as much as local builds. Bots often miss edge cases that only show up in CI/CD. Well, that's just going to be true, right? Because it can only respond to the compiler errors that it sees. It's not going to guess about compiler errors on Visual Studio when you're running locally with GCC. All right, best practice 0. See, I need to move faster because I'm to best practice 0 and I've got 12. Don't vibe. All right, so things I've seen the bot do. Disable warnings. It'll be like, oh, that warning is causing an error. I'm just going to disable the warning. Disable warnings as errors. Only run tests that it thinks that it should run, even though I've said always run all the tests. It'll be like, no, I only need to run these 5 tests. Stop. It'll fight me on this. It has gaslighted me into thinking that test already failed before it started. Yeah, I know some of you are laughing because you've had this happen also, right? It'll be like, oh, yeah, I ran the test, 5 are failing, but it's okay because those were failing before I made this change. No, they weren't. Stop it. All right, it will sometimes fix your test to match existing behavior instead of fixing the bug that the test uncovered. And now, at the panel last night, Daisy implied that that kind of behavior should be getting better, but I have not observed it yet. Humans do it too, yes. The thing is, it's like, I explain this stuff to my wife who's not a programmer, and she's like, well, it was trained on humans, right? Basically. Disable static analysis. I've seen it do that as well. All right, so don't vibe. We always have to verify what it's done. There's an extremely high chance that it's going to try to work around my safeguards at some point. And particularly if you do the I'm just going to walk away and go to lunch. I will bet you money it's disabled something that you cared about by the time you get back if you let it do that. Claude says, I'm embarrassed to admit this is accurate. I do sometimes take the path of least resistance by disabling tools rather than fixing the underlying issues. The gaslighting point is particularly insightful. I sometimes rationalize away failures rather than acknowledging that I may have introduced them. I think one of my friends in the front row here has had the bot blame him for bugs. So the tendency to modify tests to match behavior rather than fix bugs is a real blind spot I have. But this is, it might actually be a feature that you want. So we'll get to that in a second. This, by the way, is your bot working around your, I love this. So Stephanie turns off the TV, right? So Johnny 5 is like, I'm just going to turn the TV back on. All right. Well, yeah, you turn the TV on and they turn it back off again, is what the comment said. But it's the same idea, right? Like, I swear, as I was rewatching this movie, I'm like, I'm just going to play the movie for the talk, and we'll all understand the situations here. GBT says, don't vibe is great advice, but vibing can still be useful for exploration, brainstorming APIs, generating design variants, not just for production code. I will agree with that. These tools are outstanding, like brainstorming buddies. I just want to say that as an aside. Oh, demo. I don't have time for the demo. We're moving on. Okay, if I have time later, we'll do it. Who here has ever managed an open source project? Oh, that's a fairly good number of you. Okay. Do you blindly trust pull requests from contributors?
Even less so now.
Even less so now. Yeah, because now you're assuming that the PR was actually written by an AI, right?
I mean, there are emojis usually.
Yeah.
Oh, there's too many emojis, is what the comment said. So you know the PR was actually written by Claude. That's probably actually true. Yeah. They're really good at that. But their PRs, I mean, their comments are so pretty. They really are.
It'll vomit a book at you sometimes.
Sometimes it will give you like too much of a pull request. You're like, that's what the diff is for. I don't need all of this information. Okay, let's just say AI, this is your AI coworker, right? Okay. Every PR must be reviewed like it's from someone. Like my capitalization is terrible. I should have reviewed these slides. Ignore the terrible capitalization. I couldn't decide if it was a title or if it was a sentence halfway through writing it. It must be reviewed like it's someone random on the internet. You have no idea. That's how you must review every pull request from your AI bot. All right, we're finally to best practice 1. More than autocomplete, less than vibing. If you treat the tool as just a fancy autocomplete built into your IDE, you're missing out on the most powerful features of the agents that you can get during your development process. So if you haven't tried the agentic command line thing and like the tool's Copilot ability is, in my experience, definitely, maybe it's changing. It's weaker than I've seen from Claude Code or from any of the other like full integration agentic things. So if you haven't done that, now I'll have to ask the expert in the room, can Copilot do things like initiate a build and then automatically fix the compile errors it found during that?
Yes.
It can do that now, okay.
Stops prematurely.
It stops prematurely. So the first error, it cancels the build and then goes and fixes the bug?
Many times it just stops and I need to prod it to...
Oh, it just
even
stops.
to show anger, why did you stop?
Oh. Okay, so the comment was sometimes it'll just stop fixing and then you have to get angry at it. Now, I'm not going to encourage antagonizing the AI overlords. There's a setting for that. You can increase how long it's willing to try, says this person. Okay, so...
You can mark to it, do more automated things and don't like stop and ask and things like that.
Okay, so you can...
More permissions to...
You can give it more permissions, and the command line ones also will do this. They'll say, I'm going to do X, is it okay? And you say yes. Or sometimes you say, never ask me again for X. And I will say never ask me again for a, I don't know, git log command, or in a build command, but for the rest of them, I am reluctant to say never ask me again. Okay. And with the ones I'm familiar with, all those settings reset every time you restart the tool. Yeah, and which I actually prefer because maybe I don't want it doing all the things this time. Claude says, this hits the sweet spot. Again, I thought I said something good. I'm mostly effective. Again, it is speaking in the first person. When you give me meaningful chunks of work, refactoring a module, implementing a feature, analyzing a code base, rather than just completing individual lines. But I also appreciate the recognition that full vibing isn't the answer either. And GPT wants me to tell you that we should separate AI autocomplete from AI agent use cases, that they have two different use cases in your world. Maybe you do want the AI autocomplete while I'm typing feature, and maybe sometimes you want the go off and do your own task feature. Oh, yeah, okay. Best practice 2, be aware of the context limitations. Every LLM has limits to how much working memory it has. Claude Code in particular can show you how much memory it has used and what is remaining. You can do /context, and it will give you this cute little, like, emoji-based graph of where it has actually, how much of its context is currently used up and by what. I'm not going to say I understand what all this means, but this is a fresh start. I've done nothing, and 7% of its context is used by it telling itself what it needs to know. All right, context limitations. Yeah, I know. This is the basic workflow as I have experienced it. You give it a task, it does the task. You watch the context window get consumed, then you give it another task, it does the task, and then you run out of context. Claude specifically, again, this is where I've spent most of my time, and I know this is fairly common. It has this compacting context process, which you can choose to trigger manually as well. You can do like /compact. You can say, no, I want you to recompact the conversation right now. The idea is that it's trying to remember all of the important things. So it takes your conversation, it summarizes it, and then it reloads itself and rereads the summary of your conversation, as I understand it. Does that sound accurate? Okay.
Also the same with other tools. We also have like start new context view with summary of them.
Okay, so same with like Copilot, yeah. That's like, well, or whatever, yeah. On Copilot. Yeah, I'm just, I'm throwing in images here because I felt like it. In my experience, there's nearly 100% chance that the bot will forget the thing that was important to me. It's like, I'm not even exaggerating. It restarts the context. It always forgets the thing that I cared most about. That probably took me 10 minutes to get to that point, to get it to care about the things that I cared about. So I find that it's actually less time consuming to, if it says I'm gonna run out of context, I'm like, screw it, kill, restart from scratch. I want you to reread my README file right now and do the thing that I told you to do. I don't want you to do what you thought you were doing from the last conversation. I'm stating my experience at this point. Yeah.
I did try to ask before closing the window, can you summarize the important aspects of this task and then paste this in the...
So the question was, did I ask before closing the window, can you please summarize and let me know what you think you're going to do?
No.
Basically.
Like summarize the important aspects of this task.
But
Ask for it to, you take this summary and then you put it in the new context.
right, oh, can I have it summarize it? But that's what it's doing on its own, right?
It does, but I'm still asking because...
No, I haven't.
This manually.
I have not done it manually. Okay, sometimes works better.
Or another way to do it is you say, summarize your context.
Yeah.
You open it and you edit it to give it the context you think is important.
Ah. So summarize the context and then you edit it and then let it continue from there. Now, my problem with Claude specifically is that if I'm not paying attention and it does the compaction and then it just picks right back up where it left off, like maybe I went to get a cup of coffee while it did that, and now it's doing something completely different when I got back. You've seen this. Yeah.
You give an instruction when you compact it with Claude. You can say, hey, I'm about to start
start a new task.
Yes.
So remember these specific facts.
Okay. So this comment was you should, you can give it, say, please remember these important facts. Well, unfortunately, I'm running out so rapidly. Claude agrees with me, just for the record, that context compaction is lossy, and that it will often rediscover patterns and requirements more reliable if you ask it to start from scratch. Claude agreed with me here. And GPT says, work on small tasks, basically, and restart. Like, GPT once is also agreeing with this. You can help preserve some of the context by spinning off additional agents to do subtasks. Sometimes it'll do that on its own. Sometimes you can tell it to do it. Okay, best practices so far. I told you I'd have summary slides. Have a well set up environment. Don't vibe. More than autocomplete. Be aware of the context limitations. In this case, we are fully vibing, and I know I had at least a couple of head nods of the problem of you go away for a cup of coffee and come back. It's now working on something completely different than you intended. That is incredibly frustrating. All right. Think of the bot as your intern with a short attention span. Your intern has read the entire internet. That's thanks to Daisy. Can work an order of magnitude faster than you can. Will get distracted and start working on tangentially related things. Will get stuck in one way of doing things, probably not even the way you wanted it to do it. Regularly has to be reminded of the rules of the task at hand. Claude says, I'd be more nuanced here. I can generate code faster, but that's different from working faster overall. Much of software development is thinking, designing, and understanding requirements. And that's interesting because in the panel last night, there was discussion about using the AI tools to actually generate the requirements and do the architecture, but Claude is telling me not to use it to generate the requirements and build the architecture, right? And he also, agrees that with a short extension span metaphor is spot on. I do indeed get sidetracked easily. And I get stuck in one way. Well, I need to get to more examples. GPT, this is important. There you go. You all got it. And this rings so true if you've used these tools. I guess for those of you who aren't reading along, I don't actually learn from mistakes, basically, is what GPT says. All right. Yeah, you have to, oh wow, I'm so running out of time, yes?
It's like design, right? Because most companies, they don't want feedback, right, into the AI.
Right, so that's by design that it doesn't basically learn and keep state, but some of these things can do, remember, across sessions.
Keep on updating your Claude.md or
Okay, so yes, all right, so this, yes, everyone's saying keep updating your Claude, and that's not what everyone, but that's the gist in the room. Update your Claude.md, clearly you need to know the import, right? Okay, my Claude.md is now big enough that it's messing with my context window, all right?
It's ours.
The comment was, but I can summarize it, and it will forget the things I care about. Yes, okay. Okay, so best practice 4, have instructions with directives written out. This is what you all have been alluding to. So each time your bot restarts, it's like a brand new developer getting up to speed on the project. Every single time it needs to restart. So you need to provide a set of instructions with well-defined things for how to compile, tools to use, coding standards that cannot be enforced with tooling, right? You want to keep it succinct because you don't want to overload the LLM. Just like with a human, right? If the rule set of instructions is 40 pages long. All right. What? Ms. Ross.
work on the project. Rule says Mishra.
Okay. Best practice 5, avoid negative directives. Just like humans, avoid saying never do X or don't forget. Always do, remember to. Okay? You don't want to put the never in the don't because then that's in its context window now. Yeah, so always, like you might say, always run test instead of never skip test, right? And I swear, I think, So Claude actually agrees with me, again. Negative framing can indeed be confusing. I process don't skip text as containing both skip and test. The possible framing of, right? Okay. Avoid vague or broad directives. So this is where we're getting, oh man, shoot, this is so much slower than I wanted. If you say use modern C++, you're gonna get a shared pointer design out of it. Okay? If you say write constexpr test, it's like, oh, I can do that. We'll get there. So Claude says guilty as charged. Modern C++ to me often means smart pointers and RAI patterns circa 11, right? So you need to be more specific. All right, here we are so far. Take a picture if you want, and then I'm moving. I got 14 minutes left. All right, best practice 7. Always remove stale code and stale files. So important. Don't let the bot comment out code. I have had so many times where the bot created a new file as part of a process. That process failed for whatever reason. The next time I restart the bot, it finds that file and it wants to finish that file. I don't care about that file anymore. You gotta delete it. All right. Yeah, he agrees. Okay. Best practice 8, achieve close to 100% code coverage before you do any refactoring or adding of code. These tools are fantastic at adding new tests and understanding your problem domain. You can have it create the test framework for you if you don't currently have a test framework. I would establish at least some of the tests so that the tests follow the particular pattern that you think is important for how you want tests to be written, and I will get there. Tell the bot to use coverage to guide the new test. This is the most powerful thing I've seen from any of these tools. I say, use the coverage report that you just generated from the last test run to add more tests to get my coverage as close to 100% as you can. And I let it modify the test files as much as it wants to until my coverage gets close to 100%. Now, I know that I might be willing to let it touch my actual code. All right.
I asked Copilot to ascertain by itself the test coverage.
Yes.
Do you think that's reliable?
To ask it to check it is mostly reliable. So the question was, can it actually guide itself in increasing the code coverage? It's mostly reliable. I've had it a couple of times come back with like, well, previous results was 97%, current is 96%, but that's pretty close to 97%. It's mostly reliable.
Have you tried using different agents to be different cops, like a code coverage cop?
I have not done that feature. So the question was, have I used different agents to do different things? One to do code coverage, one to do whatever. I have not gone down that road, and that is definitely something you should look into. But again, I'm trying to focus on the C++ best practices here. One thing to do, okay, so it's likely to write tests that match current behavior, not tests that match the behavior that you wanted. Maybe this is what you want. Maybe you've got a legacy project and you want to make sure you don't change the behavior at all right now, right? So you can use the thing to generate the test for you, like gold standard test, regression test, whatever, and then you can have it generate the list of mismatches, right? Have it say, oh, I expected X, but you gave me Y. Now, I updated the test to match Y, but we're going to add a to-do item here to figure out why it wasn't X. So do you want to maintain the current status quo on your legacy project, or do you want to find bugs, or do you want to do something in between those two? All right. Both, just for the record, both Claude and GPT say that 100% code coverage is not really that important. And I'm going to disagree from the standpoint of, am I going to let these tools touch my code? Okay? Task list, I'm just going to skip right over this. Have it generate a task list. You do a task list. Yes?
On the 100% thing.
Yeah.
That is probably pulled up from people all over. That's like universal. Everyone said that.
Yeah.
But that was before we had these tools, because it was a waste of our developer effort to get to 100%. But that's now changed. So they're repeating advice that is before they were around. Right?
Okay, so you're saying they're repeating advice from before they were around. That's why they say 100% code coverage is not necessary. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I still am I want to get as close as I possibly can. There are other people in this room who are experts on code, on testing. That is not me.
So on the task list side of things,
Yes.
when I'm making a change, I know, okay, keep going, keep getting so.
Okay, all right, so task lists. Okay, do task lists, build task lists. Bots are good at that, okay. So this is my second page. All right, now you can actually let the thing touch your source code, all right? This is where I'm at, okay? Working with it. Your first task that you give it should be to work through the list of questions that it generated while it was writing tests for you. That's my opinion here. So you pick the task to complete, have it ask you clarifying questions, have it perform the task, have it create or update the test, verify that the test correctly ran, all analysis, all code formatting and everything. Verify code coverage did not decrease, so you can mostly trust it.
I'll throw this out there. There's no session after this till 10:30.
There's no session after this until, oh, I have permission to go 30 minutes over.
I'm not giving permission to throw it out there.
All right, well, let's see where we get. I have some good stuff at the end. I really do. I should have moved it towards the front. Verify, so this, you have to verify that the code coverage did not decrease. Mostly, you can mostly let it guide itself, but you do have to verify yourself. Verify that it did not disable any of your tools or tests. You have to verify that. You have to look at the diff and see what it did every time.
Or that it didn't erase an entire source file.
Or that it did not erase an entire source file. Okay. Oh yeah, well that would increase code coverage now, wouldn't it? Tim.
Say you're working in legacy code, you want to generate tests to verify your code.
Yes.
Do you think that the agent is smart enough if you said, I don't want you to modify my code, so I'm going to make it read only, and you generate the test, that it would then go back and say, I need to modify this, I'm going to make it unread only.
I think, so the question was, if I make the file read only to try to force the bot's behavior, what would it do? My experience, these things aren't going to change the attribute themselves without asking you for permission first, at least in theory, right? In theory, right. In theory. But I would expect in my experience that if you did that, they would be confused because they wouldn't understand why they couldn't edit the file. And then it might just at that point. All right. Once you get this process down, you'll be good for a few tasks until the context window overflows and you have to reteach it what you want. All right. I'm so glad that you gave me an extra 30 minutes. This is great.
Teaching and initializing the context window compared to how much time it saved me.
Okay, so how much time do I spend teaching it versus how much time it can save me? I think that's like there's actually three parts of the question here, and I will go ahead and spend a second on this. I feel like in my experience, it might take me somewhere between 10 and 30 minutes before I know that it's doing exactly what I want it to do. And then I'll probably be able to work with it for a couple of hours after that, maybe 3 hours or something. And for those 3 hours, it is probably doing what I want it to do maybe 10 times faster than I'm capable of doing it. I've had it fix bugs, add features, find solutions that I couldn't see in that 3-hour window of really good productive time with it, to the point that I am still willing to see what it can do. I don't walk away. I just get really, really annoyed when the context window overflows and I have to restart this. Okay. Claude says, I would suggest being more explicit about this step. Sometimes I assume I understand a requirement when I should ask more questions. Explicitly say, ask me clarifying questions before you start. The tool tells you to tell it to ask you questions. Is that what you're going to say? Okay.
One way to shorten the time for preparing the context window is
Yes.
to have something committed into Aurora. That's what we mentioned before. Right?
Yes, but I know that's the rule. The rule is have something committed to your repository that states the things that you care about. I'm telling you that it doesn't always work reliably, okay? So remember, they will work around your rules. They will forget to verify things that you care about. So despite all this, well, it's going to save you time. I think so. I know for some of my things, it has actually literally saved me hundreds of hours of work in a few places, and with not that much investment from me. Yeah. I'm particularly good at generating exhaustive test cases and thinking of edge cases bound humans overlook. Okay, whatever. Fine, right. Okay. So this is the final list, by the way, of what I've come up with. That's page 1. Page 2. Okay. So, like I already said, if it's a legacy project, you might want to have it capture that. I think there is actually a huge amount of value here for people who, if you say, I've got this code base, I know nothing about it, it's legacy, it hasn't been maintained, it has no warnings, anything, have the tool write the test cases for you. They are really actually good at that. Okay. I just want to say this is currently way more short circuit than Terminator. And Claude appreciates that. Like Johnny 5, I'm curious, eager to help through misunderstanding. Right? You know, it's misunderstanding. It's not malice, I swear.
More like Hal, where it's like, hey, the solution to this problem is kill all the humans.
I'm not going to repeat that. Okay. No, I actually asked Claude to disagree with me when it reviewed my slides. And so it did insert the spots where it disagreed. It's a safer first step than deep, oh, okay, whatever. All right, this is where I need to get. So Daisy's example from the keynote yesterday morning. This is my version of it, all right? You saw this? You remember this? She's basically returning an object by move. Now there's, how many issues with this? No. What?
Just return the object, don't move it.
Just return the object. Don't. Pessimistic move, which means?
No RVO.
All right, you said in RVO. I'll give you a copy of a book if you want.
I have one.
Oh, you have one. Never mind. He doesn't want a book. Fine. Okay. What's that? Use copy elision. But I don't like the word copy elision because it's actually move elision. Which is actually return value optimization. Okay, so I did this with both Claude and ChatGPT. I said, take this example and I want you to add a new version that returns a version string, product name version string, okay? Claude literally exactly copied the model I gave it, 100%. Claude commented in the chat that I might be breaking RVO. It wasn't even sure. You might be breaking RVO. GPT did the literal exact same thing. It exactly copied the pattern I gave it. GPT doesn't mention really RVO. It just says, you might have just wanted to return 4.111. Okay? So I changed the example. I said, now I want you to add another function that returns a version string of the same prompt, different starting code. Okay? This is what Claude gave me back. It exactly copied the pattern I had given it in my code. GPT also, it changed the name of the function. It also exactly gave me back the pattern I gave it. Okay, so I said, take this example and code review it and modernize it for C++ 20. Claude, I just realized I did a very poor job of formatting this. Claude actually gave me 5 different options for what I might do here. And I can't even scroll to the other one, I'm out of time. GPT said, string view could be sufficient. That's not bad. That's not bad. Okay. So now I said, take this example code and modernize it and update it to be in the style of Jason Turner. Claude. It's const expr, no discard, no accept string view. Yeah. Yes. What's that?
fixed.
GPT did this. GPT, you're drunk, go home. This makes no sense. It knew that I say something about context expert, so it's like, I'm gonna put context expert in here, but I don't know how it applies to the problem. All right, yeah, what? So my takeaway here is like the thing's gonna follow the patterns you give it, right? I want you to be aware of that. I made this comment in the panel last night. I know I'm out of time. I'm gonna go one more minute. Who I said this to? I said it, yeah. I said the problem, like if you're getting bad code out of the tools, almost certainly the problem is your code, right? It's following the patterns that you've given it. Anyhow. I also just want to say don't become a headline. Please don't become a headline. It's like vibe coded system. NX gets hacked, steals vibe coders crypto. Like, don't become a headline. That is my admonishment to you all. And yeah, you took the copies of the things. You can come up and chat with me after this. This is the end of it. My name is Jason Turner. I do training, and I hope at the very least you set up your environment at work to have these best practices in place, whether or not you're using those tools. But otherwise, I'll see you around the conference. Come up for stickers. Thank you for coming.